Alright, so here we go for lesson 86 from Saxon 76. Now, here's a little review to start because you've already done this type of problem in the past, but when they've given it to you, they've kind of given you really straightforward, easy ones, and so it's going to get more complicated. But let's do a review of the easy types. This first one says 5n equals 20. So what we're trying to do is figure out what n is. And we know that 5 times n equals 20. Well, when you want to find a missing factor, which n is a factor because you multiply it by something to get to 20, it's a factor of 20, all you have to do is take the 20 and divide it by the factor that you already have. So if 5n equals 20, you know that 20 divided by this 5 equals your n. Well, 20 divided by 5 is 4. So n equals 4. Now let's make sure that makes sense to us by plugging it back into the original problem. If n equals 4, that means 5 times 4, because that's my n, equals hopefully 20. And guess what? It worked, so we were right. Let's do 8n equals 64. So we have this missing factor of n. 8 times something is 64. To figure out what that missing factor is, I take my product, which is 64, that's the answer when I multiply, and I divide it by my other factor, which is 8. So 64 divided by 8 equals n, and 64 divided by 8 is 8, so 8 equals n. Now let's plug this 8 for n into here, and I'll get 8 times n, which is another 8, equals 64. That's true. So that means I got n right. Now for problem C, I have 10 times something is 90. I have a missing factor, n. So the way I find a missing factor is I take my answer, my product, which is 90. I divide it by the factor that I already know, which is 10, and that'll give me n. Well, 90 divided by 10 is just 9. So if n equals 9, I plug that back in for n, I get 10 times n, which is 9, equals, yay, 90. So that's what we've done in the past. And notice how my n's always come out to be this really pretty, clean whole numbers of 4, 8, 9. No fractions, no extra decimals, nothing hard. Well, for this lesson 86, you are going to get some of those kind of picky answers that they're not going to come out so even. So if 5n equals 21, and I'm trying to solve for n, what I do is I take 21 and I divide it by 5. So let's do that over here. 21, make sure you guys can see, divided by 5. Well, 5 goes into 21 4 times, and 5 times 4 is 20. 21 minus 20 is 1. So I don't have anything else to do. I'm going to leave this in fractional form. So the answer is 4 with 1/5 remaining. So the answer is 4 and 1/5. Now for problem E, everything's in decimal form. I've got 3/10 and I've got 21 1/1000ths over there. So I'm going to stick to decimal forms for my answer for n. So let's do 0.021 divided by 0.3. The first step when you have to divide by a decimal is to clear that decimal. So to clear the decimal for the 0.3, I scoot it over 1 to the right, which means I have to scoot it over 1 to the right over here. I'm going to float my decimal straight up, so I'll have 0, 0 point. And now I just do my division like there's no decimals there. So 3 won't go into 2, so that's a 0. 3 times 0 is 0. Do my subtraction. 2 minus 0 is 2. And I'm going to bring that 1 down. 3 goes into 21 7 times, and 3 times 7 is 21. remainder of 0. So in this case, there's my n. n equals 0.07, which is 7/100ths. Okay, problem F. 56 equals 6n. I have a missing factor, missing something to multiply by to get to 56. So I have to take my 56 and divide it by what I already know for a factor, which is 6. And let's just do it. 6 goes into 56 9 times, and 6 times 9 is 54. I do my subtraction and I get a 2. Well, that's 9 remainder 2, which is the same as 9 and 2/6. But let's not leave it like that, because I can reduce that 2/6, and that'll be 9, and then I can divide the top and the bottom by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, 6 divided by 2 is 3, 9 1/3, and that'll be my answer for F. Alright, you do G and H. Stop the video and do those by yourself, and then when you're done, turn it back on and we'll do them together. Alright, so hopefully you turned the video off and you've got them complete, and you'll do them with me and see if we get the same thing. So here we have 2/10 times something is 59. So I'm sticking with the decimal form because I have a decimal here in my 2/10. So I'm going to take my 59, I'm going to divide it by 2/10 to figure out what n is. Well, I have to clear this decimal, so I bring this over 1 to the right. Well, let's stick a decimal here so I have something to move. I'm going to move this over 1 to the right, and that's where my decimal is going to go. I float my decimal straight up and start doing my division. Well, 2 goes into 5 twice. 2 times 2 is 4. Do my subtraction. 5 minus 4 is 1. Bring down my 9. 2 goes into 19 9 times, and 2 times 9 is 18. Subtract and I get a 1. And now I'll bring down my last 0. And 2 goes into 10 5 times. So I got 295 point nothing, because I don't have any remainder, because 2 times 5 is 10. I can subtract that and get a 0. So I could write 295.0 if I want, or just 295. So n equals 295. Alright, H is the last guy. 12n equals 126. Missing factor because I'm multiplying. So I've got to divide 126 by 12. I'll do that right here. Okay, 12 goes into 12 once. 12 times 1 is 12. Subtract. Bring down that 6. Well, 12 doesn't go into 6. So I got a 0. 12 times 0 is 0. 6 minus 0 is 6. So now I have a remainder of 6, which is the same as 6/12. And I can reduce that a little bit. 10 and 6/12 is the same as 10, and I can divide the top by 6 and the bottom by 6, and it's 1/2. Alright, hopefully all of our answers matched and you're comfortable with that. Just remember that when you have a missing factor, meaning you're multiplying two things together and you don't know one of the things to multiply, just take your product, which is the big answer, and divide it by the factor that you do know, and it'll give you the other factor. Alright, good luck with that one.